All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this panel. I'm going to add to what Merituli said. Actually, I worked with Ask Management, but then I quit to, you need to be the change. So actually, I was entrepreneur for several years in different startups. So I wanted to add that since this is a startup event. But on my left, we have two other guys working for one big company and one not so big company, maybe. So maybe a short introduction. I'm Tomi Kaukinen, by the way. To my left, who are you?
Very good evening. I'm Julius Ufasagd and I'm a CEO and head designer of the company called Arctic Factory, which is a design agency from the Arctic Circle, from the north, from the Lapland.
Oh, really? Where from Lapland?
From Rovaniemi, from the official hometown of Santa Claus.
For all the international.
Points taken.
Awesome. And then we have Flying Finn over there.
Flying Finn, yes. Hello, good evening. My name is Patrick Ketelovuori and I work for the official airline of Santa Claus.
Oh, true.
Even
Very
better.
True. Even better.
But
And-
actually, I work for Finnair and worked with digital transformation and sustainability initiatives. And I have to disagree with this large company at the moment because we are not that large at the moment. Actually, we're trying our best and we are trying to travel responsibly.
It tears my heart up. I mean, I had a friend who missed traveling so much, so she booked into a hotel for the weekend just to get to pack her bags.
I did that 2 weeks ago in Rovaniemi.
Oh.
We just booked a hotel in the city and have one night.
I think I'll do that too. So if there's anybody from a hotel, please send a discount code.
I really recommend one.
Going on. So let's start talking about COVID and Corona. Okay, obviously everyone has their story what happened when it struck. So let's start from an individual perspective. What happened the following week from the 12th of March in your home?
Yeah, actually I went in the 12th was Friday. I
The
think.
13th was Friday. It was Friday the 13th.
Exactly, because in Thursday I was in Vilnius in near to Helsinki, and we had a workshop there together, and we were looking at news. And then I have a flight back with the Finnair to home in the Thursday evening, and that was it. Like then after that, like no traveling. Usually per year I have been done maybe 50, 60, 70 flights per year, and with Finnair.
Me too.
But during this year maybe 15 totally, or like something like that. But I would say that the first weeks were, I would say that the shock is too hard and strong word, but it was all like a new things, and of course I said to my staff that okay, now we're going to home and we have this thing Google Meets and let's start to use this, and we had this old table from the upstairs to having a desk and so on. So, but I would say that the first 2-3 weeks were okay. What's happening? But then we decided like okay, that's it. Stop talking, let's doing. And then we had 3 days and we designed this our own like a mock-up about it's called Reconstruction 2020, Jälleenrakennus 2020, which was a net site to where companies can tell that hi, I have this problem and I need help. And there's a form, and we took all those companies because there was this Business Finland and ELY-keskus funding, and because we are playing as a design agency all the time with the fundings, with the public fundings for the development. So we were there to help people and companies to trying to get the funding and to start the project, and we didn't get the fee from the companies about to making the application. We were just like hoping that, of course, if there is coming the project, we hope that we have a part in the project, but there was no that kind of like, okay, give us €1,000 and we will make application. No, we were, okay, we needed to change the way how we are going to make the business, but we needed to help businesses to make a new kind of business. So that was our spring. But of course there was those phone calls from the clients that like which we had already before the crisis, that okay, let's have a break. Let's take a look this in the autumn. And there was a lot of those calls, and I was like, okay, what's going to? But then, like in the early summer and now in the autumn, the situation is not bad anymore for us. Like it's going good.
Well, that's a nice bridge talking about good and bad. Let's move to Finnair. Currently, what do you? How many people are working at the moment? I shouldn't laugh because it's horrible.
Of course, I mean, it's bad, and we've been quite open about that. It's really bad, and I mean, we are. I think Finnair is excellent in crisis situations. We've been struggling through crisis after crisis, basically with ash clouds and different pandemics before and so forth. So we are excellent in working through crisis, and the contingency plans are, I think, amazing. I was like, in the beginning of the crisis, I thought to myself that I hope there is a contingency plan somehow there in some shelf or whatever, and boom, they started basically step after step implementing the stuff. But the Corona crisis started with in Finnair a bit earlier actually, because you already saw the impact of no flights to Asia and stuff like that. So the 13th of March, I guess, at that point we were already like 4 weeks into the discussions with employees going into like layoffs and stuff like that. So at that point, the 1st of April, basically, lights out and planes on the ground, and then we hoped.
Yeah. I mean, I came home from London on the 9th, and that was the final flight for a couple of weeks. From an individual perspective, for me, as you know, in the event business, you know, doing shows like this and speaking publicly and helping companies, smaller companies, I mean, for me it was a shock, but it also led to extreme increases in efficiency. There were no meetings in the calendar anymore. All these, what do you say in Finnish, these kissanristiaiset, where it's basically you go to different events all the time, they just disappeared. And I felt an enormous relief, to be honest, in the first month or so. And my personal productivity increased. I started working with Pomodoro techniques very much, you know, intense work, and I got a lot of stuff done. Like, how did you react on a personal level yourself? Let's start with Patrick this time.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've been working with the transformation project in Finnair basically since I started, and one of my big passions is sort of digitalizing work or digital workplace or whatever you want to call it. So basically, how can you be more effective in whatever you do? And that's not by sitting in meetings and looking at your laptops. So I had this ongoing project which I named Kill the Meetings. Corona did that also for us. So I think, I mean, there's a good old saying that never waste a good crisis, and I think Corona has done amazing transformational jobs for efficiency, because you start to look at things differently. So suddenly your calendar is no longer full, and suddenly you have all this free time, and you understand that, okay, I actually do my work outside meetings nowadays. And then of course the other effect that happened is that then you start getting those full days, but those are Teams meetings. The only thing is that you don't miss the meetings anymore, but you don't have any breaks either. So it's I mean, again, it's a difficult situation, and I think that the thing is that how can we to look forward? So how can we adapt into the future? What's the model that we are working so that we can be efficient, use what we've learned, but still sort of don't bring back those goddamn silos.
Yeah, I'm gonna come back to that, but before, let's take your individual response to the situation.
Well, when I'm thinking of the situation now, I think that there was a very good stop, like the moment, but it needed to stop and like rethink the whole situation, because like we know that the doing the work is like doing every another next day doing, and then there was a stop, and there was suddenly time to think.
Yeah.
Okay, what are we doing? And let's take a moment. And so I think that after the first like a very many and different kind of thoughts, there was this moment of stop, and that was good.
Yeah, because I asked myself every time you met someone, I was walking my dog and I met some friends, the first question I asked was basically, do you like it or not? And I had to say like 90% were like, yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what you also noticed, I mean, people's empathy. So suddenly you get like, hey, how are you doing?
Yeah.
How do you feel? Like, is everything okay? I mean, I think
totally agree.
that's amazing.
I mean, I think in May, I started feeling that I couldn't do it, but I started missing social contact so much. I just wanted to go around and hug people on the street.
Yeah.
I don't know. Did you feel like lack of social contact affecting you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the first, I mean, in March when we got the first impact, and the world like stopped in 1st of April. We've already tried it for a month, so it was really like. I think the first part, if you can talk like first and second part, because we had the summer holidays, so that's a break in Corona. So I mean, the second part has been sort of easier because you're already adapted to all the changes. But now I think that you are getting this fatigue in the social lackness of how you do things and so forth. So.
Yeah, I mean, and I think the trend, if you come to an individual and also corporate level, is what initially was a relief maybe for someone, is actually turning back on them.
Yeah.
I get a lot of calls from organizations that say these team meetings and stuff, they're killing us. And you know, there were some companies saying they had 4-hour meeting in Teams. It's like, what?
Without
like,
breaks.
Yeah, like what is this? and we need to rethink the e-meetings too,
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And so I'm just thinking my favorite subject, which is the humanity, and that we need to understand the needs of the humans, and not only in the team meetings,
Yeah.
and everything. It's all about the people and humans.
How about in Finnair? How do you feel it's working?
I mean, yeah. I mean, again, Corona settled a big deal for I think working because, as said, our culture embraces people being sort of free of choosing how they work, where they work, and so forth. Of course, depending on your role. I mean, if you work in a role where you, for instance, make food or put cargo in a plane, you can't work remotely or distantly to that. But nevertheless, if you are a knowledge worker, we embrace that anyways. But it's really, I mean, a lot is about trust. If you have trust in your organization, then you can work in a free mode, basically. If there is lacking trust, then the manager usually wants to see that you're actually there and you work on whatever you need to do. Again, Corona settled that case for us because you had to work remotely. So in that sense, we managed. We already had the tools in place, as many of the companies luckily had. So the social digital leap that we did in Finland and in Finnair and so forth, it took like 12 hours and done.
Impressive.
Something I worked 5 years to achieve.
Exactly, and I agree that it's all about the leadership in the organization, to get the feeling of trust, and it's like I'm pretty sure that there's a lot of organization, including mine, that where we managers and leaders are in more or less new kind of situation, that how we will talk with our employees, how we will talk with our partners, how I will talk with my client who have no money and my bills are in there, and I need that money because I need to pay for my employees, but they don't have they have nothing. In the tourism business, like everything is down.
Yeah.
And how I as a leader manage the situation, not only with the communication with the customers, but with the communication with my employees and with the communication with myself when I'm looking at the account and thinking at what will happen tomorrow. So there is a lot of things going on inside the head.
It is, and I have to stress this point as well. And I'm telling, because I'm talking about distance work myself, also in organizations, and the fact is this: there seems to be some kind of idea that the work life was somehow, solved before Corona. Like, no, it wasn't. The burnout statistics, like depression, workplace, people hate go to their workplace, they hate meetings, they hate their life, we those things existed pre-Corona. They weren't anywhere. But now people seem to think that they need to solve everything in a matter of 6 months, and they're stressing, especially management are stressing that, because they're expected to understand and know. So here we come to the humanity. Like, what can you do as a manager concretely to your employees?
Well, in my organization, I have been. Of course, we have very small organization. There's not many of us in the office, but like a systematic way to have meetings and have even. Are we in the office or are we online? But like every Monday morning, we know that we have these subjects, and every month we have this bigger thing together, and we have this like a certain kind of things that we have the moments to talk, and we know what are the subjects, what we are talking about, and it's like it's not only those, but it's also that I have time to ask that, okay, how are you doing? And it's very simple, but it's very hard question. When you are like doing, and you, especially in the small organization where the managers are doing everything from the cleaning to the trying to find the founders. So you have so much in your head, and you should have the time to ask that, how are you doing?
And it ties into what you said earlier about the trust.
Yeah.
How have you experienced yourself?
Yeah, well, I in terms of sort of the pandemic, I've started to think that this is just another change phase, basically. I try to go back to sort of Hans Rosling's factfulness, that I mean, everything is basically okay. It feels like shit, and now it feels worse because the shit has hit the fan. But it will, I mean, this is a phase that we will move over at some point as a society, as corporations, as humans, and so forth. So at the moment, of course, we think short term in a lot of different aspects. But again, in the longer run, we are going to overcome this again. So that's...
Yeah, and people forget that humans are resilient as hell. We survived world wars, plagues, and all that stuff, and now we're here. This is a parenthesis in the end, in the long run. But when you implemented, for example, new ways of working at this moment, there is usually an innate resistance to change. But now, since it came from the outside, was it easier than normal?
Well, from my side, of course, we were there together, like because it came from the outside. So we were there together, not only in my team, but with everyone was there, like in the same the situation. So yeah,
It's easier to accept.
yeah.
I would like. I mean, everyone, the whole society was in it, sort of together. So it's hard. I mean, in Finnair also, I have to say that that it's really like been nice to see that how people are reacting to. I mean, normally if you would been laid off or whatever, lose your jobs or so forth, you tend to get quite like pissed off due to the situation. But the understanding is overwhelming in the company when you know that there's nothing you can do about it. If you see that the money-making machines are grounded, there's absolutely no way of having work for everyone. So that's also, I think, a really good like takeaway from this, that sort of look at stuff from a different angle and perspective.
Yeah, it's true. I know people worked in Finnair, and they were quite relaxed. They were like, "Well, it is what it is."
It is what it is, exactly. I love that saying.
It's weird to hear that someone gets laid off, and it's like, well, you know,
Yeah, what can you do?
what can you do exactly? And that I'm starting to think about when Corona hit, and now we stand with these layoffs and stuff. Are things going to change? Because people seem to be saying that this is going to change the way the world works. I'm a contrarian on this. I'm going to say like, no, you don't understand. Not only do humans not learn, humans do not learn that they do not learn. So what do you think? Is the world going to change?
I have been thinking a lot about this new normal. What is this new normal? Okay, we have in this moment the new normal is that we are wearing the masks and so on. There's a certain kind of period that we are doing that. But what happens like after the year? What is the new normal after the year?
It's the next normal.
Yeah. And then the next normal.
Exactly.
And it's a normal.
And then the very interesting question is that what is the difference between the time before the corona and the next normal after the 3 years?
And that's my question.
Exactly.
Is it going to be?
Is there a difference?
Yeah.
No.
Exactly.
Sorry. Usually I'm
I'm going to be a bit slightly more optimistic in that sense. I mean, I believe. I have a feeling also that we are going back to traveling at some point when it's again the restrictions have sort of given away. Then we are going to go back to traveling. I think we will have in 3 or 4 years the same amount of planes up in the air than we had before. But maybe we are a bit more cautious about our choices because we've seen impacts now in certain kind of areas of CO2 emissions and so forth and so forth. So this is hopefully accelerating change in many areas.
I agree that, and usually I'm very optimistic, but now like I'm just really thinking that the humanity and we as humans that how much we really like learn, and if there's a like you need 10,000 times you need to do something that you really are going to do that in rest of your some period. So there's a possibility for certain kind of things that could change, but that whole life and our way of living and
I mean, we've seen it with the first and second phase of the pandemic. We tried to go back to normal as fast as possible. It did not quite work.
Yeah.
We need to take a step back again and wait it out, and then again we'll do the same thing.
Yeah, and we have the clue in exactly what you said. When Finnair opened the flights to Europe, the planes were full. People couldn't go because the planes were full. And when you went out on the second weekend of June or something, you went walking down Esplanade or somewhere. It was like a festival.
Yeah.
It was like people forgot like this.
Yeah.
And it's probably gonna go back.
It's going to go back.
Like this.
Yeah.
Okay, so from the stuff that's maybe gonna change, what are the things that might change in your opinion? Let's, Patrick.
Well, as I said, I think that, and I really hope and I believe that people are going to be more cautious and understand sort of different sort of limitations. I mean, we do not want to see this happening again, naturally. So in that sense, I think limitations and how we look upon different things. And as I said, I think this will accelerate a lot of change in corporations. It already does it, but I think in Finnair it will accelerate transformation when we have a possibility to do a transformation. Now, at the moment, we don't have any resources to do much, but when we go back to that stage, we have now an understanding what actually, again, might have a positive impact in efficiency and employee experience, customer experience, and so forth. So we will initiate those sort of projects again and start pushing.
So there is some kind of basically it's an abstract thing that's gonna it's an intangible thing.
Well, it's when you are in that stage of everything being all right, you tend to forget that change is sometimes for the good. And when you are in a crisis situation, then you remember that we had those actually initiatives ongoing, which actually could have had some impact now. So now when we have gone through this, I think that we will actually start working towards those transformational projects that actually will, in the future, make us more future-proof.
And I'm gonna give you a different question, actually. Yeah. Sorry.
My answer was so good.
It was perfect answer. So there's nothing more to add.
Okay, I go.
You can leave. No,
Yeah.
just kidding. So my question is, since you run a little bit smaller business, there has been talks about death of the office. Will the office die?
I want this one.
Okay, I can continue through it. No. I will say that the offices would not die. I will say that in this big picture, I see here big and huge potential for the companies and organizations to develop the systems, how they are working, and develop new products and services. And I think that's one good thing in this situation, that there is a lot of companies in Finland who has been using different kind of knowledge and expertise to create something new kind of business or new kind of way of working. And I hope that, and I know that there's a thing which will survive and continue living also after this thing. About the offices, I will say that no, offices are not going to die, but there might be some kind of new version and hybrid of making a. There's so many people have been doing the work from home and with the computer, and so I will say that that's not going to disappear.
Yeah,
but it's going to be some kind of hybrid between.
So I want one more and then the last one. So I'm going to give you I'm going to give you 20 seconds for each one of you. What is the most impactful kind of product or new service that you think of when you think about Corona? 20 seconds.
Me.
Is there any service that you has impacted, especially during this?
Well, I'm sure that this is not the most important thing in the world, but I'm sure that there's a lot of people who has been making into food orders to home more than
I have.
Thank
you, Walt. and
yeah, I mean, I agree with that, and I also like how they have disrupted their own business and started delivering other stuff as well. But I think, and I think like micro businesses, that I have a friend who started a company in Lauttasaari, Orava Express, who was actually, the idea was to go to stores and take deliveries to people.
Yeah. I heard about
So I mean, I think those kind
These
of
kind of things, yeah.
micro businesses that came out from Corona for people to survive.
And exactly, and that's the humanity and the needs of the humans and customers, that we take a look at the things from the new angle, and that's very, very important.
Yep. Totally agree.
Yeah.
I think everybody, I think Volt must have like during this. And we have 1 minute, so I'm going to give you like 30 seconds each on what advice would you give the people, you know, watching this and stuff. So Patrick, you first.
Yeah, I mean, take it easy. Take it easy. Do your studies. I mean, entrepreneur-mindedness is fantastic, and we need to take that into corporations more and more. That's my like 2 cents.
Amen.
Yeah.
I would say that remember the humanity. Remember the people, remember the customers, the users, the employees, the owners, the people around you. There's nothing if there's no people. And also I would say that remember the agile processes. Try, do and try and do and try and be brave.
Yeah.
Because we can change the world and we can do whatever we want to do.
Yes. And I give you a license to fail. So it's okay to fail. So I think
I
we're
give you
done.
a license to fly.
What's your license? No, we're done. So thank you, Julius and Patrick.
Thank you.
And head on to the speakers over to my right.